Welcome to the Minorities Report podcast. I'm Antonio Alcazar, and I'm here with
Jason Jolly, ho, 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 Tech Noir.
We're going to review another movie today, everybody.
This time, we're coming at you with an old school 1980s Christmas hit. I believe it was 1984.
I think so.
Yeah, 1984. Gremlins.
Gremlins. We watched Gremlins, everybody. Apparently, that's a Christmas movie.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, it's definitely a Christmas movie.
Yeah, it's a movie that takes place on Christmas, and that's all it needs for it to be a Christmas
That's all it needs to be a Christmas movie. There's plenty of great Christmas movies like Die Hard. They don't deal directly with like a Santa Claus coming down the fucking chute, but
Or even have to do about gifts or anything like that. This one only vaguely has to do with gifts. Because the Mogwai is technically a gift.
I mean, there's more than that deals with Christmas for sure.
Yeah, all right. Well,
yeah, we'll get to it.
Yeah, let's get at this.
Let's kick this off. So right off the bat, we're going to jump right into this film. The credits start rolling. Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
And I've seen this movie plenty of times, and I was
funny.
like,
yeah.
Oh, fuck, I totally forgot that this was Steven Spielberg,
Yeah, I had no idea. There are a couple of things going through it where I was just like, I can see where this has a very Spielberg kind of feel to it.
Absolutely.
It really feels early Spielberg, and it's not. Right? Because he did some big movies before this.
Yeah, and he was involved in Star Wars and shit like that before this too.
Didn't Raiders come out before this even?
Raiders was 81 if I remember correctly.
Yeah, so he had done some real shit before he did this.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then this just seemed very
Well, didn't he do Jaws?
Didn't Spielberg do Jaws?
Yeah. Wasn't Spielberg Jaws?
I don't know. I gotta find that out now. Jaws was Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
1975.
Yeah, okay, so
I know my shit.
This just seemed very low production of Spielberg flick, and it clearly wasn't, because there were a lot of things in this movie where I was just like, man, they put in a lot of budget into this thing, especially in the '84. They must have really, because there's a lot of stuff that looked like it took some technical kind of ability, and that's where I say it kind of I could see it being a Spielberg situation.
Sure. The feel of the creature and stuff like that is very Frank Oz, Steven Spielberg, all that sort of
was
thing.
E.T. Spielberg? Yes, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. That was his big, that was one of the biggest movies in history when it came out, right?
I mean, yeah, but so was Jaws. I think we're kind of downplaying. And if I remember correctly, Jaws, that was his first movie. So.
Animatronics.
Yeah.
Were his thing always. Right?
Yeah. So then we start off it starts off right in Chinatown. Real nice Chinatown. Have you ever been to a Chinatown before?
I've never been to any Chinatown.
Okay, so I'm guessing that this is supposed to be Chicago Chinatown, because this takes place in the Midwest.
Yeah, it's Cleveland, I think.
Yeah, I was going to say...
Oh, no, I don't think it's Cleveland.
It's in Ohio, though.
Okay, Ohio.
I'm pretty sure. Wait, no. It's in the Midwest. I can't remember exactly, because I might be tripping it up with other movies we've watched and things like that.
The other one was in Cleveland.
Right, yeah. So... we go right into it. He's a shit salesman. This guy comes in,
garbage salesman.
Right. He goes to talk to this Chinese kid. Takes him to see his grandfather. Yeah. Very this is some 80s shit right here, bro. This is some 80s shit. This is some very 1980s Chinaman type shit.
Yeah.
They didn't say Chinaman, but they basically wanted to say Chinaman.
They were saying Chinaman. Yeah. My question is, why did the 80s hate Chinese people so much?
No, man. You're looking at it.
They make fun of them a lot.
I disagree. I feel
even in the other movie that we watched.
I feel as though this is the opposite of that. This is this is kind of reminds me of Stephen King.
Never is making a character out of a human being or a culture the opposite of mean to a culture. Whenever you make a caricature of anybody, it's being mean to them. Even if you're doing it respectfully, you're making a caricature out of them.
See, we're definitely going to disagree here.
Okay.
I look at a lot of people are very critical of Stephen King and his portrayal of black people and the magical Negro, a Stephen King thing,
yeah,
right?
Sure, yeah.
But they're always
and
the hero.
Flattered.
That's the thing is they're always the hero of the situation. They're always the one that's smarter than the other people in the situation. They're the one that kind of cues in, knows more than the white people around them, and then they're disregarded. And so, this is the same thing, but this is the Chinese, Eastern, I don't find that offensive. Like, I don't find the smart Chinese guy who's very reserved and very respectful to nature an insult. But if you do, that's cool, but I don't.
No, what I'm saying is, wouldn't it be less? I think it's disrespectful and a little bit of like you shouldn't do things like that. Because wouldn't it be cool if they were just normal people? They're just like a normal dude.
The kid is normal. It's that the grandfather is the real hardcore Chinese monk sort of guy.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, I feel like caricatures are offensive. And that it would be cooler if it was like a dude. If it was like an older Asian guy, right? But he was just an old Asian guy. And he was just like, no, I'm not going to sell you that. Not like some crazy, one-eyed, different colors, silent smoking.
But so this is so you don't know this guy clearly because you're younger. This was like a mega famous actor too.
Sure.
Chinese actor.
I really do feel like I recognize him.
Yeah, he was like in Green Arrow and Green Hornet and a lot of shit like that. Not Green Hornet.
The Green Hornet, yeah.
And he was in a lot of like older Chinese American type of shit.
But even that, I mean, there's a lot of that was... has been
like Shaw Brothers. Do you find Shaw Brothers stuff like
what is Shaw Brothers stuff?
Shaw Brothers is like the old like kung fu shit, like 36 Chambers and shit like that. You know, with like all the crazy Chinese like martial artists and stuff like that.
Were Chinese people making them?
Fu Manchu. Yeah.
I mean, if Chinese people were making them, then okay.
They were like Chinese action movies.
Chinese people know how they want to portray themselves. When an American person is portraying a Chinese person.
Do you think that this famous Chinese actor would be like, yeah, I'll let you make a mockery of me?
Yes, look at Long Duck Dong.
That was different. He was a little kid. That was a person who just broke into Hollywood. This is a person who
what I'm saying is people are willing to make concessions for money. And that doesn't make it okay.
All right. Anyways, so he's gonna try to sell him some shit, all kinds of piles of shit for sale. Like this is what he does. He's like one of these 1980s salesmen.
Yeah.
No. I'm talking about the father.
The dude.
He's just a shitty ass salesperson. And so he hears a little creature. And he checks him out, and he's got to have him. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. A little weird creature, and he's got to have him for his son's Christmas present. Of course, it's not for sale. But he offers like a crazy amount of money at the time, like $200, I think, at one point.
Yeah,
which has got to be quite a bit. Like that's got to be like close to like $400 nowadays.
Yeah, because I looked it up when we saw the Breakfast Club.
Yeah,
and 35,000. I remember I laughed out loud, and then it turned out it was more like 75.
Yeah, exactly. So we're talking about like $400 or so for like a
when
puppy,
he gave him $50, it was just like, I'll give you $50 to shut up.
Yeah,
it was like $125.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that dude extorted him.
Right, exactly. So like, it's clearly like a pretty decent amount for what amounts to a puppy for sale. But the grandpa's not about it at all. He's like, no, it's not for sale. My guy can't go anywhere. But then, of course, the grandson's like, dude, we need that money. So he meets him out back, sells him Gizmo, and he gives him 3 rules. No light. No, don't let him come around light. Don't let him get touched by water, and no eating after midnight. Yeah. How many of these rules do you think are going to get broken in this movie?
All 3 of them.
And repeatedly, right?
Yes.
I mean, of course. Right?
That's what they were saying. This is what we're going to be doing the rest of the movie. That's why he said those 3 rules. I don't want to get too bogged down in this.
Sure.
Because it is a 1980s.
Of course.
Clearly a schlocky film.
Yes.
Maybe trying to take itself seriously.
This intro felt very Goonies to me. I want to bring that up.
I've never seen the Goonies, so I don't know what that's like. But
2001. Or 2011. 2021. Jesus fucking Christ.
2021, my
2021 will
Dude,
be...
Dude, you just went through 3 decades in your brain.
It is on the shelf for 2021 for sure.
Okay, so what I was thinking, though, is that how does what does midnight have to do with it? And I know this is a little nitpicky for what it is, but like, why would midnight
be the cutoff time?
Like the hour on the clock. So like at first I was just like, because I'm an idiot trying to rationalize this, right? I was like, oh, maybe it's like where the sun is, some celestial thing that's happening. But like, the sun is at a different place every day at 12 o'clock.
Yep.
Like 12 o'clock is our
You've
12
thought
o'clock.
about this more than Steven Spielberg
Exactly.
did.
That's kind of what I felt like. The arbitrariness of 12 o'clock took me out.
That's just like a horror movie thing to me.
I get it.
Like, that's just like a horror movie rule.
But I'll tell you this too. I didn't realize this was a horror movie. I didn't know that's what we were watching.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, like this is like a Your Speed horror movie. Like this isn't a My Speed horror movie. This is a Your Speed.
This
horror
isn't
movie.
a Hereditary.
Right. This is like something like anybody can, like kids can. Like I loved this movie as a kid.
Yeah, well, it's, in my notes halfway through, I'm like, what is this? A kids movie? Was this a comedy? And then like 4 notes lower, I'm like, oh, this is a horror movie.
Yeah, but a Steven Spielberg horror movie.
Sure, when they broke out of the
we'll get to
things.
that. We'll get to
that. But hold on. So what I was saying about the rules is that rule 1, it can't touch light. Okay, that's pretty par for the course.
Sure, there's like bats. There's all kinds of creatures that don't touch light.
Can't touch water. Okay, dope. Like we've
sure, weird, but okay, whatever.
And then don't eat past midnight. Yeah. It was the midnight thing that I was just like, okay, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it should have been just like don't feed him at night.
Yeah. Don't feed him when the sun's down.
Yeah.
Then I'd be like, okay,
probably
cool,
better, but whatever. We're not going to hang up on that.
I'm not.
Thing.
Yeah, I just wanted to point that out. It's just I'm kind of just illustrating where my attention went in certain instances.
That doesn't say much for the movie. All right, so the intro music hits, right? Instantly, the movie I was thinking of, right? You have to know the movie I was thinking about when this intro music hit. Christmas.
Oh, no, what were you thinking of?
Goodfellas.
Oh, okay.
Because this is the scene after the heist. They all show up and they're all having a good time. This is the music that's playing and shit like that. Yeah. You bought a fucking Cadillac. That scene, that whole thing.
You got to return it.
Take it back. Take it back. Take it back. You got to take it back. Yeah, exactly.
This was a present by my mother-in-law. Take it back.
Take it back. Yeah, takes the mink coat off the person. Right? Like, nah, man. You're all about to fucking get killed too.
Dude, he kills all of them.
Right. Exactly.
Anyway, we're not reviewing this.
Typical. So this kicks into a typical 1980s Midwestern town. Like you jump into it, very Midwestern. The feel, very like.
You know what it felt like? A Christmas Story, not a Christmas, like the Christmas Story, but like the old like Scrooge Christmas Story.
Yep, I can get down with that. For
like
sure.
the old lady in the banking kind of situation.
For sure. Yep, absolutely. We meet the neighbor right away. That guy's been in a ton of movies. This is like a typical.
We've seen that guy in another
movie, right? Definitely. Terminator. If I remember, he was correct. He was one of the guys in Terminator. He was in a few other movies too, but I don't even want to get into. But like typical 1980s older dude, hates foreigners. Hates foreign cars. He's like shitting all over the foreign cars and stuff like that.
My tractor was made here in the Americas.
right. So definitely some 80s shit. And then the kid has to hoof it to work, which kind of made me laugh. Like, why did he even try to start the car when he clearly works like 3 blocks away from his house?
Yeah,
like he just takes off and he's like instantly over there. So that kind of made me.
He takes his dog to work.
Yeah. That's that.
Which again, just kind of stood out to me. This is why I couldn't understand
that. This time period.
Oh, was that? Look, okay, because I didn't live in this time period.
Yeah, definitely. Like taking little kids to work or stuff like that happened all the time back.
Taking your dog to work seems like a really weird kind of thing for it to ever have been allowed anywhere. Like even like.
Especially at a bank, right?
Yeah, a bank, and also like
he's got his little cubby. So
but he looked like a wet, dirty dog,
like a mutt, like like a shitty ass mutt.
So like I the thing that like stood out to me was, tone is really weirdly being set right now. I
felt like it was a typical like.
Because right here, it doesn't feel like a horror movie.
No, it feels like, but it's being set up right now. So like, it's to me this isn't a hard horror movie. This is a Steven Spielberg horror movie.
Yeah,
right?
Like a monster thriller.
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't do like horror movies per se. This is like. A horror movie that like a soft person could deal with very easily. And
I mean, I watched it.
Yeah, for sure. And you weren't even bothered by it. So like, yeah, exactly.
It took me a while to even realize what I was watching.
Right, for sure. And then we see like, dude, I got to tell you something. As I'm watching this, I even put it in my notes. Yeah. Seeing this snow and this salt like everywhere, like the whiteness of everything, it gave me anxiety for like all the times I've had to wake up and go fucking.
Of course, yeah.
Okay, so he's a banker. Right away, something felt weird to me about this film. Okay, right here, I'm going to bring this up. Like, this feels like a weird age for this dude. Because he feels like he's got to be like in his 20s, right?
Early 20s.
Right, but like...
Because the guy, the established dude, who was clearly like 36, said he was 23.
Yeah.
And...
I think I even mentioned that somewhere.
Yeah.
What a clown. But... I swear I remember this movie, him being like 17 and being in high school or something like that. But like he's clearly not, because he's a full-time worker at a bank. He's a teller.
I believe he was 18.
Yeah. Like it feels weird for him to be like 20s or something like that. Like it feels like this type of movie should take place for like a teenager or something.
Sure,
like
yeah.
that. Like I don't know, just a weird thing.
Again, I didn't know who this was marketed for.
Right.
You know, like was this supposed to be like a young person's teenagers kind of horror movie?
Yeah.
There was some comedy elements a little bit. There were things that just stuck out as like a lot of the dad.
Yeah.
Where like the shit would explode in his face and stuff. I'm just like, this is very comedy. This seems like a comedy.
Right.
I thought it was a comedy, and then later on I was just like, oh, this is changing a lot.
It is a comedy. It's a horror comedy. I mean, it's definitely.
I haven't seen a lot of those. Like, admittedly, I'm not really
for sure. This was definitely something more like an 80s, 90s sort of thing. Like they don't do this much anymore because like it's just
I actually made a note about that. Mm-hmm. One of my notes was I'm trying to figure out if there are movies like this these days.
Yeah,
I can't think of a single movie that's come out like this.
Nah. So the town Karen, she's salty about the snowman head. This is Mrs. Deagle. Mm-hmm. Fuck this bitch. That's I mean, like she is annoyingly asshole-ish. At this point,
over
right?
the top.
And like you point out, it's like the Christmas Story sort of character, right? Exactly.
She's the Scrooge, you know.
Because like even they talk about like people needing money and stuff like that, and she's just like fuck them, you know. And she's
what
pissed
is
off.
Does she like a landlady or something? Because people are like, oh, you know.
They don't even talk. They don't even like really explain it. Like they later explain that her husband was like this shyster that fucking took all kinds of people for his money, their money in like hedge funds, shit. Like it's mentioned in the news, like in the background, so you don't even like pay attention to it. But because she's found, spoiler alert, she's found dead later, and they talk about her husband who also died and this and that, blah blah blah. So she's there to complain about the snowman being destroyed by a dog. Which how did this little ass dog, destroy that big ass snowman in the first place? Like. Yeah. Whatever, fuck it.
And so, she's like over the top. Like, she's just like, I'm gonna fucking murder your dog.
I'm gonna hang that dog. Yeah. Like, which actually comes up later. So that's why, you know, she brings that up specifically.
But she's like she talks to that kid and to other adults in a way that no adult could get away with talking
She's
to
the
anyone.
Richest person in that town.
It doesn't matter. Yes. Like there's no way that people don't like harass her to death.
Of course.
Like, because she's stepping out of line. Like even
she's an habitual line stepper.
Yeah, like you can't. No matter how rich you are, you can't talk to people like that.
She cuts in front of lines and people regularly and shit
and
like
she's
that.
Just like, hey, I'm going to take your dog and I'm going to kill him. I'm going to murder your dog.
Yes.
I'd be like, I don't care how rich you are. Don't talk to me like that.
I'll bring up something later to do with this. Okay, so we see the love interest. The love interest jumps into it. They talk for a little bit. He then leaves, goes to a bar for the night where the love interest also works at this bar, which is interesting, but whatever. And then
there's a funny thing with that later.
Yeah, of course there is. And so then he's, like you say, he's with the partner.
Yeah.
And this guy,
the 23-year-old who's clearly like 35.
I literally wrote down in my notes.
Yeah.
I'm 23 and I'm VP. Laughed my fucking ass off when he said that shit. Like, dude, get the fuck out of here. There's no way this kid wasn't at least 35 at the filming of this movie. After this, he goes home. This family is like a super poor family. We can tell like as soon as he walks in, like,
because of how massive his house is. That's how you know that they're a fucking super poor family.
Like, that's how like. You know, times were different, like years before. Like things have only gotten worse in America, in my opinion. Like especially in the housing market and things like that.
Yeah.
Like people could afford. Well, we know this for a fact. Like people could afford a middle class, decent house in the 1950s with one person working and making middle class wages. Yeah. Like that was specifically America's mission after World War II, and it worked from the 50s, 60s, and into the 70s even. Sure. And so like. The 80s was certainly a hangover of that. And then as we got further and further, we've like...
It's really hard to buy a house now. Like it really is like for everyone. And you can't do it on a one fucking average wage.
Absolutely.
You need like a combined household income of a good amount of money to be a fucking...
You can, I mean, like, I think like a person could like buy a house and be okay and like not not a great house or anything like that, a decent house, but you're gonna be needing to make like $50,000 a year and not have children.
Yeah, for sure.
If you don't have children, you make 50, you can probably do it okay. If you have children, Now we're talking 10,000 more a year.
Yeah.
Everything
You
over
need a
and over
combined
and over.
household.
Yeah. Now you start to need that shit, and that's gotten way away from where we were at in the 40s and the 50s.
So you're saying that it's believable that this guy comes home, and
they're crazy and dead. Well, the other thing you have to remember too is that this family could have had money at one point in time, because even today, if you have money right at one point in time and then you start getting like behind on all your bills, it takes a long time before they finally cut you the fuck off and go, you're fucking done, son, and get you out of that fucking house. Like, it's not like an instant thing. And like, even now today, like I was reading about this in LA, bro, like this crazy ass story to me. And it was like, I don't want to get too political here because like, you know how I am, I'm very kind of in the center and shit like that. But I heard the story about like these landlords owning all these houses in like California and whatnot. Yeah. And then like people just taking these houses. They're like, no one's living in that house. So they just take over that house and start living in there, move their family in and then like get evicted by the police when the guy's finally like, I want my house back. Yeah. And like this like organization you can donate money to and stuff like that to fight these people getting evicted.
Wow.
Which is like, as far as I've moved further and further to the left in my last, like 10 years of my life, that's probably a step too far for me. Because I was like, kind of like, this is almost outrageous to me. But like, that's the thing is like,
I don't know, man. To me, empty houses should have people in them.
So I don't disagree.
Yeah.
I'm cool with the person taking over that house, living in that house. Yeah. But as soon as the landlord's like, yo, that's my house, I'm going to do something with it.
Yeah.
You got to go.
Then go, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you got to go.
Find another one.
Oh, right. Exactly. Well, that's the thing is like, on this story, they were just talking about California, and there's thousands upon thousands of these places like this where there's just no one living.
I think, I don't know if the statistic tracks, but I think that there's, if I remember correctly, 4 times more empty houses on the planet than there are homeless people.
I definitely read something. Which, I mean, like, that stat used to surprise me until I remember a few years ago when I read that there are 3 firearms owned in America for every 1 person.
Yeah.
And 10% of Americans own firearms.
Yeah.
Like... So, okay, right. So
most people have like 42 firearms.
Right, exactly. Like, it's fucking silly. But okay, so he all right.
He comes home. They greet him like they haven't seen him in 3 weeks.
Right. Yeah. These stupid fucking inventions, bro. Like throughout the house.
My note on that is how many failed inventions do you need to have before you are not an inventor anymore? Yeah. Like
so like. This is like this is, I can't even say this is some 80s shit. Yeah. This is some 70s shit right here, bro. Because like this inventing and all this other stupid like gizmo type shit is so fucking lame, bro.
It's lame
so
as fuck.
Fucking 1970s,
sure. And all of his like ideas, every single one of his inventions are all lame.
Dude, there's a point where the mom is like, hey, can you help me with this baking?
Yeah, with the eggs.
I gotta ask a question.
Yeah,
I've had some hardships in my life and stuff like that. I'm sure. How hard is it to crack a fucking egg?
Like, you don't need any apparatus for it. Like you can do it with your hands.
You just go bing on the counter, and it's pop into the thing, right?
So like I didn't get the need for his inventions.
Agreed.
They just kind of seemed like almost like they were incredibly patient people for dealing with the inventions.
I mean, that's what you do when you love somebody, right? I mean, it's
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Like, but why would you keep, like, when he's not there, why would you keep using the inventions?
Exactly, dude. Yeah.
Right? Like, shelf that shit and you bring out the real, like, egg
if you don't want to hurt his feelings,
your hands.
Yeah, exactly. If you're not trying to hurt his feelings, okay, I get it, man. You love your husband or whatever. But, like, that's the kind of support that you give a child. Like when a child makes a really bad painting and you're just like, you know what, I love you regardless. Yeah. But when you're an adult, there should be a bar. There should be like a bar that you hold yourself to. Mm-hmm. And if you can't reach that bar, then it should be up to your partner to be like, hey, maybe you should think about being a different thing in this world, because you're clearly dog shit at this. Like, I would, like, at what point do you have the conversation where you go, you're bad at this?
Well, but here's the, let me flip this, right? If this kid was like 14 or 15, I would agree with you.
Yeah.
But this kid is clearly in his 20s. This dad can do whatever the fuck he wants to at that point. You don't have to support this kid anymore. So if I want to be a failed inventor and you don't have kids, you can go right a fucking ahead and be a failed inventor, right?
Get fucked. I'm going to make my shit inventions.
Exactly. I took care of you when I was a trucker for fucking 18 years of my life.
Sure, yeah.
All right, so then he gives the son a present, and it's clearly the Mogwai.
Yeah,
which
got some notes. I got some notes.
First of all,
see what you're gonna say.
First of all, he gives him a package that's completely wrapped. Okay, in full paper all the way around.
Yeah.
And he opens it up, and it's a box, and then he opens the thing, and then there's a Mogwai. Yeah. How the fuck is this Mogwai still alive?
Oh yeah, for sure. Would have been
it's fucking
he's coming from out of state.
Yes.
yeah, for sure.
All right. Quickly they become friends.
So here's my note about
this.
Hit
the notes.
They don't have a fucking clue what animal this is.
Okay.
They don't know what they're supposed to feed him.
Oof.
You know, they know that they're supposed to not feed him before midnight, but they don't know what the diet is.
Right.
How long it lives.
Yes.
Like, am I going to be taking care of this thing for the next 3 years?
Yeah.
For the next 15 years?
Sure.
They don't know what kind of responsibility this thing is.
Right.
They don't know the species of this animal.
Yes.
Like, these days, right, in modern, like...
Yes.
If you want to get your kids a dog...
Yes.
Right? And you don't know anything about them. You've never had a dog growing up. You don't know anything. You do a little research.
Yep.
Right? Because you need to know what you're going to feed it. You need to have some semblance...
Absolutely.
For what it's going to be like to take care of this animal.
Yeah, these fucking dogs.
This guy just buys a random species he's never seen before, brings it home, and goes, "Here, son.
Yes.
I don't know what it is. Just don't feed it past midnight."
Yes.
That I was like blown away.
Bro, this so I didn't bring this up yet because this is later on.
Yeah.
Like it gets more egregious later on.
Yeah.
So I didn't even want to like kind of touch on this, but like I want to just point out the Mogwai shows up, instantly breaks the rules right away. Yeah. They like flash a light into his face, and this and that. And then he like tells him the rules and he's like, "Listen, first of all, no lights, no bright lights, blah, 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 blah." So then he like, okay, so quickly the Mogwai, Gizmo, and Corey, is that his name in this movie? I don't fucking remember.
The main character?
Yeah, the main character.
Who fucking knows,
right.
man? In none of my
80s hair man.
Yes, main character guy.
Yes. He takes on the Mogwai, gives him the name Gizmo. They
Let's call him Corey for the rest of the
Yeah, exactly. Quickly they become friends. Fuck up the bright lights multiple times. Like over the next 15 minutes, he bright lights him at least 5 times, and like Gizmo has to yell, "Bright light, bright light!"
It talks.
Yes,
human speech.
Yeah, kind of right. Like it has small sayings. It doesn't. It does. Like it's.
It's not going to have a conversation with
to
you.
me, it's very parrotish, where it parrots things that it's heard before.
Okay.
So like it can say bright light and it can say like small things. Sure. That's it though. Like it can't like have a conversation or anything like that. So then after this, he's feeding him and shit like that, and Corey Feldman shows up. You know who this guy is, right?
Corey Feldman?
Yeah.
The little kid?
Yeah.
I don't know who Corey Feldman is.
He's in tons of shit we're going to review over time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's a huge actor from the 1980s, bro. Like in Lost Boys, all kinds of crazy shit like that, okay? So he shows up. Now's where I have it written down. This fucking creature is a creature. I want to bring this up. It's a fucking creature, okay, right?
Yeah. It's a little monster.
Yes, and no one has been like, what the fuck is that thing?
But that's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You don't know what this is.
Right.
You just brought a thing.
A creature.
Like a creature that exists on the planet, I guess.
Yeah.
I would, I'm a product of an age of information.
Yes.
I was born right before it, but as soon as I started having any kind of like real thought, you know, especially once I was hitting teens, I was in the age of information. There was never a moment where I couldn't look something up. And knowledge was everywhere and constant. And so when you don't recognize a thing, you look them up.
Yes.
And this was clearly at a time before that.
Yeah.
And so I kind of want to grant the internal consistency or the internal logic of this movie.
Right.
That like, well, maybe just in this time there was all sorts of shit you had never seen before.
Sure.
You know, like maybe... Who knows what's out there? Because I don't know anything.
That seems weird as fuck to me. I don't think there's ever been a time period where people were just like, "Oh, that weird creature? Yeah, I'm cool with it." Like, people have always freaked out about shit like this. There's been National Enquirer and shit like that for like many, many years.
Yeah,
about freaky weird shit.
I tried to grant this thing. This was like my benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, you have to because it's a creature feature and you just got to kind of roll with it. But it is kind of weird that like nobody's like, "What the fuck is this thing?"
Especially for what just about it happens.
Yes,
where like they get a little bit of water on him and he's like sprouting more.
So I was gonna say, so now at this point, Yoda Ewok is there, and he, Corey Feldman breaks the second rule, spills water on him, right?
Yeah.
And even Gizmo at this point is like, you fucked up, bro.
Yeah,
You fucked up. Like,
when they start popping out of his back,
right,
bubbling and popping out of the back, and the main character, he's like a little perturbed. Like he's like, this is clearly weird.
Yes.
But his friend, doesn't give a shit.
No, and he's even like, okay, I'm gonna go home.
Yeah, like, no, he's
you're
like,
right. No, you're right. Because he's reading a comic. He's like, oh yeah, that's great. Like,
okay, whatever, par for the course. You know, like he's completely uninterested in the fact that he literally just watched a creature multiply by hitting.
And he caused it too. He fucked it up. He's the one who spilled the water on it.
So like, I'm like, okay, well, I guess I don't know. It's completely uninteresting that a completely new species of animal is reproducing, or you know, like just like asexually reproducing, just spontaneously
by water touching it. Yeah. All right. So it jumps from this back to the dad again. He's creating a new invention, and like, because
some card counter fucking thing.
Because then the sun breaks in, and this is, I wrote down, this dude is gonna die poor.
Yeah,
he is destined to be poor forever.
That's what I'm telling you, man. Like I guess your son, okay, whatever, dad's into his stuff, but your partner, your wife, you know, the person who's like your partner through life, like if I was just trying over and over and over again, and I just couldn't succeed, I hope that Janet has it in her to just be like, babe, do something different, right? Don't keep encouraging something you're fucking bad at. Like, encourage something different. I'd be like, please, you know, try to identify a real talent that you have. And I would be very frank, you were dog shit at this. Everything you make is bad.
You're fucking awful.
You're bad at this.
You are fucking awful. Yeah, that's hard to witness, man. This guy is a drag on the family, and he is the reason they're on welfare. All right, so at this point, it's pretty much bedtime. Everyone's gonna go to sleep now.
Well, then he goes. The son goes to tell the dad.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Where the new invention, because he's creating the new invention and stuff like that, and he kind of tells the dad, shows the dad everything else, and then they kind of just leave it at that, and he sets up a little bed for him and whatnot.
I put after the first scene where the kid shows the dad the new Mogwai, right? Because there's a bunch of new Mogwai.
Yeah, 5 new ones.
And the dad's just like, this is going to be the new American pet, you know, like I'm going to make $1 billion on this. I immediately thought, okay, so this is one of those movies where everyone's an idiot.
Yes.
Perfect. Yep. Okay. In for a good time. Like at this moment, I accepted it.
Well, because here's the thing, right? There's still like...
There's a lot of movies like this where everybody's dumb.
And they're cute little creatures. So like, you know, who cares?
No,
like,
I care.
Oh, that's weird.
Like in real consistency, real human logic, you go, there's some like crazy magic shit happening here.
Yeah.
That thing multiplied to full grown things. One moment, got a little water on him. This is magic shit. That there's not
there was a rule against it, so you know.
But that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is real human beings act differently.
And like even it's kind of like that Multiplicity movie or whatever the fucking it was
Never
called.
saw that.
Like it's like clear that these Mogwai are a little bit different and a little bit dumber
right
too.
Away,
like right away, like you're like, because they're kind of like the off-bred. Maybe this isn't how it's supposed to reproduce.
Sure, okay.
Like it's supposed to reproduce female, male, whatever or whatever, but it's not supposed to reproduce with water.
Yeah, or if it reproduces, then it's like that Baby Yoda situation where it takes a long time to get it to be like from a crazy thing to like whatever Gizmo is.
Right,
you know?
right. Yeah, that's true. We don't even know about that. Okay, so at this point, they go to sleep. The next morning, or like in the middle of the night, the dog is making a lot of noise. Okay. He gets up, goes downstairs. The dog is hung. Miss Deagle has hung the dog up by the lights. This is the point where I go murder Miss Deagle. Like, we talked about it earlier. You hung my fucking dog. Now, we know that she didn't hang the dog, right? Sure. It's the Gremlins that hung the dog.
But this whole time, she's been talking about how she wants to
literally
kill the dog.
Hanging the dog. She says she's going to hang the dog. And now the dog is hung. Mrs. Deagle is dead. I literally run the bitch down with my car at that point in time, right?
I just don't understand how any person could put that much shit on themselves and expect somebody not to kill them.
Exactly. So at this point, now's where you're proven wrong. Because at this point, he does something very smart. He takes the creatures to the science teacher that he's friends with still from high school.
Sure.
Which, that makes sense to me. Like, if you were good with some science teacher in high school, and he was a good dude and whatnot, and you did a lot of science stuff together, this is probably the first person, like...
Small town type shit.
And this is where I start to think that maybe he's 19 or 20, and maybe he graduated last year or the year before, because he's still connected to the science teacher or whatnot. Like, it'd be super weird for me now, at 40 years old, to go back to my high school and be like, hey, science teacher.
Honestly, before the science teacher, I would go to the FBI building. I would just be like, hey, there's a magic creature. I don't want anything to do with it.
That's why you're not in a Mogwai movie. So at this point,
this thing is clearly going to be in the next, like, fucking, I don't know, epidemic or some shit. I don't want to. I'm washing my hands of this right now.
Yeah.
I promise you'll never speak about it again. And then that's it. The movie doesn't get made about me.
Yeah. And so at this point, he purposely puts water on Gizmo, which, okay, Gizmo even goes, oh no, right? Like when he puts water, like, there's a rule against doing this, dude. Like, I don't give a fuck if you want to show the science teacher this, like, trick. Why would you do this? There's specifically a rule against this shit.
Hey, let me show you some shit I'm not supposed to do.
Yeah.
Watch this shit.
Here we go.
Boom.
There it is.
Another one pops out.
Yeah.
Evil. Obviously evil.
Right. Like, you can see by its face that it's fucking...
It's got a fucking bad guy face.
Yeah. Yeah. And he leaves it with the he leaves the Mogwai with the science teacher, so the science teacher can run some tests on it. Yeah. We kind of fast forward to that night. We get what's called a mangle expert.
Sure.
Okay. This is a term used in horror. So there was a movie called The Mangler, which was the Stephen King story about a spirit that gets trapped inside of a laundry machine and literally kills people. This laundry machine kills people. Okay. And if you think about it, like, it sounds ridiculous. It sounds
ridiculous.
Right. So in the old days, though, you had laundry press machines and things like that for, like, sheet companies and stuff like that were, like, these giant manufactured machines and stuff. So, like, people would have to be, like, putting things in them constantly and stuff like that. So, like, it was more, like, now it sounds ridiculous because it sounds like, when I say it, it sounds like someone get killed by their washing machine or something like that.
The one that you have in your basement.
Right, but that's not with the case. It's like this gigantic machine. And what ended up happening is, like, in the story, someone gets cut on this line, and that blood, like, wakens this demon that's in this fucking machine, and then the machine kills.
Wow, like, Stephen King just wrote them, huh?
Yeah. It was a short story, too, okay? And importantly in this, there's a person that pops up in the movie that knows everything about this, like... bizarre creature. Yeah. And so it's nicknamed the Mangle Expert, okay? Right. And so that's what we call the Mangle Expert. So, and now's when the old World War II veteran becomes the Mangle Expert. Because he starts talking about gremlins and how when they fought in the Pacific, the Japanese had gremlins in they would put gremlins in their tanks and in their planes and stuff like that. And that's how the tanks and planes would fuck up, and they would always cause disasters and malfunctions and shit of that nature. Okay. But not his tractor. His tractor doesn't have any gremlins because it's American made.
Because it's American made, yeah.
Yeah. And this is like also... I mean, it's not really important, but he's like there is like a real myth of gremlins and shit like that, of course.
Really?
And like,
this
like,
is from something.
He's explaining exactly where it comes from.
That's a real, that's a real thing.
Absolutely.
I didn't know that was a real thing.
Yep, for sure. And like when like people couldn't explain why machines malfunctioned, they would blame
gremlin in there.
Right, exactly. It's kind of like how the Greeks explained how the sun went around. You know, like why the sun came up and then went away every day. It's because the god was... it was a chariot. Yeah, it was, Heliod, I think that was who... like
Helios, yeah.
Right, whatever. Yeah. So, yeah, it doesn't matter. But anyways, so he does that. Now we really start to kick off the love story between Corey and the woman. Teacher starts doing tests. Gremlins are going crazy at this point. I'm just start rapid firing my notes because, like...
Well, hold on, because they start... This is the scene where he gives them the chicken wings.
Right, that's where I'm getting to. So the gremlins are going crazy in their box. They're like... like going... And I want to point out, too, before this, that these gremlins are clearly doing, like, fucked up things at this point. Like,
yes, not like spitting and being all fucking gross.
Right. Like, not, like, killing people or something, like, to that level.
Yeah.
But they're, like, doing, like, mischievous shit on purpose, like, over and over and over. And I wrote, like, at this point, This is where I box up the ones that are doing mischievous shit and cook them in the oven. Like, this is where I'm done with it. Like, I'm keeping Gizmo because Gizmo's been really cool and stuff like that. I'm probably going to return him at this point.
Maybe.
But, like, in the real world, I'm killing every one of those other ones at this point because, like, they're fucking doing weird shit. Like, that's purposely mischievous, though. Like, fuck these little things at this point.
I don't know, man. I don't fuck with magic. I'd give it away. I'd be like, this is somebody else's problem.
That sounds like a terrible idea, dude.
I don't want to kill him, though. What if, like, if you kill him, now you're cursed or something?
Man, whatever. I'll take it with me.
Yeah.
I'll take it out. So, anyways, then at this point, we're getting to the nighttime where he's up there, he feeds them and stuff like that, and then he's doing homework or whatever the fuck he's doing. He's writing up some shit, and then they're going crazy because they still want to eat, and he looks at it until 11:30, so he's like, yeah, I'll still feed you some shit. And then I know this is like so nitpicky and shit like that, right? Yeah. This is clearly like a super poor family on welfare, right? He takes an entire plate of chicken, like their dinner for the next day, and he's like, my family doesn't need to eat.
An entire plate of chicken, dude.
Right. Like, this is clearly what your mom prepared for dinner for the next night. And he's like, yeah, fuck it. I'm going to feed it to these fucking creatures that I should be burning, and we should be eating these creatures.
That's at least three people's worth of chicken.
It's just fucking, I don't know, it bothered me.
And then
like,
Steven Spielberg makes this very Steven Spielberg scene of them eating.
Yes. Disgusting as fuck, too, disgusting. Right?
Yeah. I literally wrote down, I hate that I'm watching these things.
Yeah. Okay. So, and they're just like scarfing it down.
Yeah.
Like the noises.
There's like the slimy shit on their lips and stuff. And I'm like, why are you doing this, man? I don't want to see this.
To kind of recreate it, it's like.
It literally is that for entirely too long. It's like 5 minutes
going over and over and over, and you're like, okay, weird. Yeah. But and you know something's weird going on at this point in time and shit like that. And then it cuts over to the teacher. Okay, all right, and so you see the teacher doing some shit, working on stuff, and you see a clock in the background. And this is the moment where, if you're really paying attention, you can see that there's something wrong going on here.
Yeah.
It's 2:15.
Yeah.
What the fuck teacher do you know is at school working at 2:15 in the morning, bro?
Even if it's a guy who's just like, I'm going to stay
dedicated motherfucker.
Yeah, and he's just like, I'm going to get my work done, and then I'm going to check out this Mogwai situation. You're still done by like 7 in the afternoon.
Yes.
Like, it's not 2 a.m.
Yes. Like,
school is out at 3. Let's say you do 2 hours of work, so now it's 5, and now you do 2 hours of fucking around with the Mogwai. Yeah. And then go home. Yeah. If it's 2 in the morning, you still haven't gone home, you're a creep, dude. Yeah. You're doing
more importantly, like, the janitors are there, like, get the fuck out, dude. We're trying to clean at this point. Like, you were supposed to be out by 9 p.m. at the absolute latest. All right. Now, and here's another thing. Like, this is, again, like the chicken thing. It's so stupid, but it's... Like, you had little things that were like, what the fuck? This is a little thing for me. Okay, this dude clearly is a banker, right?
Okay, yeah.
So probably keeps 9 to 5-ish hours.
Yeah.
Maybe like 8 to 4, somewhere in there. But it's the 80s, so it's definitely a 9 to 5.
9 to 5.
Right. You can't tell the difference between 11:30 and 2:15 a.m.?
In the fucking morning?
You're tired as fuck at 2:15 a.m.
At 2 a.m. you're asleep.
You're like fucking, right. You're like, knock the fuck out. Yeah. And you don't...
If it was 2 o'clock in the morning and I looked at the clock and it said 11:45, I'd be like, "There's no fucking way."
Right? Like something's wrong here. I need to go check another. Whatever. So at this point, the
teacher draws the blood.
Yep.
And then goes, "Okay, that's it for the night."
Yep.
Leaves.
Yep.
And then the Mogwai kind of grabs the little sandwich.
Yeah.
And then starts
eats the sandwich, right? Which we know is problematic.
Yeah. And then
okay. Now at this point,
next morning, we cut to the bank. Yep.
Mrs. Deagle shows up.
Yep.
To bitch at him. Jumps in front of the line of a bunch of people.
Yep.
Bitches in his face.
Cuts in front of people.
This bitch just tried to kill your dog.
Yeah.
He doesn't say anything to her.
Yeah.
I'd
be like, hey, did you try to kill my fucking dog last night?
Yeah. Did you?
Like, no.
You hung my dog it was 2 nights ago, technically.
Yeah.
You hung my dog 2 nights ago. I'm going to tell you what, Miss Deagle. I'm going to catch your ass outside, and you about to catch a fucking beat down. Like that's how this conversation would work. And this is why I would never work for a bank or I would be fired, because that's how that conversation would go right there. I'm going to catch your ass outside, and you're going to catch a beat down. I don't care if it's 1980s and I have a ridiculous haircut. You're catching a beat down. That's real talk, bro. Like, that is egregiously ridiculous. Okay, so at this point, we enter Act 2. All the gremlins are, gestating. They're in their fucking pods and shit like that.
They're in cocoons
Just
now.
disgusting as fuck.
Again, this almost reminded me of Aliens.
Of course it's, because it's clearly influenced by Aliens.
Okay, yeah. It's supposed to be reminiscent
of course,
it.
Right. Because that was like 1979, if I remember correctly. This is 84, 83.
And they really are gross, dude. They're covered in like a slimy film. Like there's like scales
they're straight up,
almost.
They're straight up pods like out of Alien.
Yeah.
Like the pod is very similar to Alien. And like there's a movie, if I remember correctly, playing in the background too. It's like their Pod People movie that's playing in the background at this
something
scene.
super on the nose.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, like not all 1980s movies. Okay, so all right. So then the gremlins start popping out.
Oh, not yet. He goes to the school.
Yes.
And then the guy is just like, oh, that's what this is. Mine's also in a cocoon.
Yes.
And then he's like explaining metamorphosis and shit like that.
As he's explaining that, they're starting to pop at his house.
Yeah. They're coming out.
Yeah. Okay. So the gremlins start popping out, and they're just fucking disgusting as shit.
Yeah.
Now we cut back to the teacher. Mm-hmm. The teacher's in school. Things start fucking going crazy.
Yeah.
He lets everybody leave for Christmas break.
Yeah.
The gremlin pops out.
Yeah.
Okay. We don't see it or anything like that. It runs around, does some shit. Okay. The teacher tries to deal with him, and the gremlin kills the teacher.
Yeah, eats him.
This is a little hard for me. Like, and it's because of what you said before. Like, the tone of this movie is one thing, and then the teacher gets murdered by this fucking gremlin.
My note is, Jesus Christ, this went from 0 to 100.
Yeah, like
it's literally a very kind of almost lighthearted movie.
Yeah,
and then it becomes horrific.
Yeah,
when the mom encounters the gremlins,
that's going to be the next thing we're dealing with.
I couldn't believe, like this was just like, oh my god.
And here's what's weird about this, because we're going to go. So like, okay, if we jump to this, and this is where it stays at, like it okay, you've now entered Act 2, so it now becomes a horror movie. And there's other movies that have done this. Most recently, Venom did this, where the first half of Venom is buddy cop, like sort of like thing going on. And then it turns into like body horror sort of thing, where Venom like is like, it's very much like that. And it's very stark. And that was my biggest problem I had with Venom, because it was two different movies kind of like slapped together, and distinctively cut by two acts too.
Tone is important, man.
Yeah, it is. And like, this was a really weird one, because you get the teacher's death. Yeah. The kid shows up. At this point, I'm like, yo, what the fuck? Not only is the teacher killed, but he's stabbed with the thing that he drugged the blood with. So obviously we know that the gremlin didn't like that. Whatever, fuck it. Yeah. So then he like deals with the gremlin. He jumps to he something happens to him. He gets like ripped by the gremlin or whatever.
Yeah.
The gremlin leaves to the vent.
Yeah.
He runs after it, he goes to the nurse's office because he wants to get fixed up. The gremlin is in one of the closets of the nurse, which made me laugh a little bit. But we see it full on what we're going to be dealing with for the rest of the movies now. And okay, so now at this point we have 6 gremlins. Mm-hmm. It's important to remember this.
Yeah.
Okay. So we get 5 plus the one in the classroom. Okay. We're dealing with the 5 that are now at the regular house. Okay. So the mom comes up and she's like, yo, what the fuck is going on up here? Right. And comes downstairs and do you see what I see? Starts playing, which is like, I remember like as a kid, like because of the scene, that song was always kind of weird and creepy to me, because like now some weird shit starts happening, while that music's playing. Yeah. So we jump into the kitchen. And then we start having the murder fest. Yeah. Because the gremlins start fucking with the mom. Mom is not fucking around,
That mom takes a knife.
Dude, she
carves him up.
First one she does, she knocks it into the blender and blends it.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Second one.
Then she picks up a table, the shield, while one's throwing plates at her.
Yep.
She stabs the fuck out of that one.
Yeah, like
just stabs him relentlessly.
Him up, yeah.
Here's another one. Picks up some spray, sprays it into the microwave, kills it through the mic.
Turns the microwave on, and then
explodes
it explodes.
Okay. Still pointing out, no one's shocked by these creatures at all. Nope. Like what the fuck these creatures are,
or by the murder you're committing.
Yeah,
like just picture that these are dogs that have gone rabid or whatever.
Yeah.
That's some horrific shit.
Yeah. She picks up. Okay. She has the knife right now.
Yes.
She cuts open the stocking.
Yeah.
Stocking pulls. Toys pull out.
Yeah.
There's a dad, her, and a 19 to 20-year-old son in there.
Like a little robot and shit.
Whatever.
Like, whose stocking is this?
Fucking weird. But then this is where another gremlin's at. It's in the tree. The tree falls on her. She starts fucking with this one, and she knocks it in the fire. Okay, cool, man. 4 of these fuckers are dead. So, only ones left. Stripe, science teacher.
Yeah.
Okay. Stripe is clearly the leader. We learned that earlier because he's got the fucking stripe. He's the only one that's different, right? And there's only these 2 left. And I remember thinking as a kid, well, like, wow, this is like wrapping up pretty quick. Like this fucking shit's almost over. They got to kill 2 more of these fucking things and it's all over with. So at this point, the son comes home. Stripe is there taunting them.
Yeah.
Stripe runs away. Billy, guy, we got his name.
Billy.
Yes.
That's right, it was Billy.
Billy.
He cuts one of their heads off.
What?
The one with the Christmas tree.
No, that's the one that they knock into the fire.
Oh, I thought he sliced his head
Well,
off. He grabs a sword off of the wall.
No, right. That's how he knocks him into the fire.
Okay,
he knocks him into the fire with the sword, and then he's burning, and he's like, but you
Yeah.
only see the head. That's probably where you thought.
That's where I thought it was slices.
Right, exactly. But he's like screaming and shit like that. So all right. And then Stripe taunts him.
Yeah.
He chases after Stripe.
Goes through the window.
Chases him. Right. Goes to the window. Chases him to the YMCA.
Yeah.
Okay, that's right. I mixed up. The mom doesn't kill the one in the fire. The son comes home and swords him into the fire. Okay, so chases him to the YMCA. Stripe starts fucking with him, knocks him off his feet, scratches the fuck out of his chest. I laughed out loud at that. I don't know why, but that's so funny to me. Like he like knocks him on his feet and he's like, nah, and he fucking slices his chest. He's like, ah! And then he goes running away, right? And then he gets up to run after him. He jumps into the water.
Into the pool. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So now I have another problem. All right. Because I want to point out, we're going to get into this. I love everything past this. Okay. But it's a weird turn at this point. Okay. Because this was a lot of horror shit right here.
Okay. But see, this is the weird thing. It was only horror for about 5 minutes. It was a weird, lighthearted situation.
Yes.
And then it became violent, gruesome horror for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then it went back into being a fucking lighthearted kind of situation.
So we have like Stripe like fucks him up, jumps in the water. He gets out of there. Next thing we see is like hundreds of gremlins running and like they're like running in like
hundreds of them.
Yeah. Yes.
In a lot of scenes they're wearing clothes that fit
here we
them,
go.
You know?
Time for hijinks at this point.
Yeah. From this point forward, there's no there's no story anymore. I feel like
now we're gonna see the fun.
Exactly. I feel like for the next 30 minutes, maybe more, it was just Steven Spielberg going, let's make a bunch of fun shit.
Yeah, I think
go crazy with it.
It feels long. It might have felt longer than it was to you because it's only about 15 to 20 minutes.
It felt very long.
Okay, so then the next thing we see is we see, of course, the very racist neighbor. And he hears something going on. And he's like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
And then the tractor comes flying. As a kid, I laughed my ass off at that. As an adult, I laughed my ass off at that because he's like, it's the Gremlins, or whatever. And important, the thematic Gremlins music is playing through all this shit, right? Yeah. The next scene is the mailbox where the priest is going to put something in the mailbox.
Yeah.
He hears something. He's like, what the fuck is that? So he invites the other guy to go ahead and he goes in there. And of course, the guy gets his arm ripped off. Basically, we don't see what happens.
Sure, yeah.
The next gremlin is fucking with the crossing lights, the street lights, and then we see that of course crashes.
Accident,
Now comes a scene that, as a kid, I cherished. Okay.
What scene?
Time for Deagle.
Okay.
So they go to Deagle. All right. I want to point out, when she's been at the bank, she feels like she's probably 1980s, probably in her 50s.
Okay.
Nowadays, it'd be a little bit older.
Yeah.
But then we get to her house, and it feels like she's in her fucking 90s.
Yes.
Old as fuck. She's on a rider, coming down the...
She was almost unrecognizable.
Yeah, you know what? So, this is the first time I've ever watched this movie as an adult.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't realize that was the same person when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, that was some other person.
Some
like,
random old lady.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
some
sure.
random old lady is what I thought.
Yeah.
And now I finally realized it was Deagle. Yeah. So,
I'm about to share something with you that's going to make you laugh. Until right now.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that was
her. See? Because she's so unrecognizable.
Way different. Yeah.
Right.
I thought it was just
she's
some
like
random
crawling
old lady.
and she's like, oh, she clearly wears a wig usually because her hair is like all matted down. So I remember this scene as a kid, and me and my brother laughed so hard at this scene
because it's fucking hysterical.
She hears Christmas carols, and of course, because she's like you point out,
Scrooge.
She's the Scrooge from which I never put that together until we talking right now,
Sure.
but probably because I haven't seen it as an adult.
Yeah.
But she's the Scrooge. And she's like, here's Christmas carolers. And just like the Scrooge, she's like, these fucking Christmas carolers.
Yeah.
Opens the door, and it's a group of gremlins.
In clothes.
Yes.
In tiny little clothes.
Yes.
Where did they get these clothes from?
Right. Who gives a fuck?
But
I don't
that's
care.
What I mean, dude. Like
I don't care at this point.
Dude.
Yeah, and they're Christmas caroling and singing with like the cards and stuff like that.
Oh my god!
I laughed so hard watching it now. It was so fucking funny to me, bro. And then the other gremlin fucks with her chair. She starts freaking out. I'm not ready to die. They're here for me or whatever. Gets in her chair, hits the button, goes flying through the window.
Yes. Up like 9 stories.
I laughed so fucking hard. Important to point out that because I wanted to get to the fun, there is some story that's happening at this point. Okay.
What is it?
Billy goes to the police department and tries to explain. So he finally does what you were asking for earlier, but he goes to his local shitty sheriff's department, which they don't give a fuck.
Like drinking.
They're literally drinking at the job. And they're like, you're a fucking idiot or whatever. He shows them Gizmo and they're like, ooh, cute or whatever. Take it home and go, you don't know what you're talking about. Or whatever. He's like, no, listen to me. I'm fucking telling you. You know.
And then they get angry.
Right. They're like, you don't know anything, you dumb kid or whatever. So because, and I bring this up because they go out to a call because they hear a call about the tractor situation. So they're going to go to the tractor situation. As they're driving to the tractor situation, they're like, is that Mrs. Deagle? As she goes flying through the window and shit. And then at this point, the Santa Claus comes up to him.
Oh, yeah.
And he's covered in gremlins. Yeah. And they're like, I'd like to go now. Like, you're the sheriff of this fucking town. Like, you're like, oh, fuck this guy. Like...
And there's monsters all over him.
Yes.
But, like, okay, so the thing that we should point out is my problems with the movie up until this point have been purely out of a misreading of the tone.
Sure.
Because if I would have, from the get-go, known that this was going to be some very off-the-walls comedy with some dark elements, then I think I would have been able to, like, I don't know, laugh at this.
Okay, so were you having a bad time at this point?
Well, I don't.
Or were you laughing at any of this, or no?
I wasn't laughing.
Oh,
I don't want to. Like, let's get through.
Let's continue.
Yeah.
Okay, so at this point, like they get theirs though because a gremlin cuts their brake line and then they go flying. Which is everything these gremlins do makes me laugh. Sure. Like, I don't know why. Like it's so funny to me. These little asshole gremlins that are just fucking things up. And then we go to a scene that made me laugh as a kid, made me laugh as an adult. But now it made me laugh even for a more ridiculous reason because we go to the bar scene.
Yes.
And his love interest
is
serving gremlins. Like trying to give them all beers and stuff like that. Like, what the fuck?
Like what? Like, is she going to get paid?
Right. It's so ridiculous.
She wants to get the tip?
So... Now we start dealing with all these different gremlins. Again, just put here to make people laugh and because he wants to have a good time. Then we start going through the different gremlins. The first we have the puppet gremlin, the blues gremlin that's sitting in the corner.
The gremlin's
one.
And then the puppets.
Right. He's got puppets on his hand. The next, okay, so I gotta ask you, which is your favorite of the gremlins?
I don't have a favorite.
You don't have a favorite? I have a few favorites, but and then you have the breakdance gremlin who's fucking breakdancing. Yeah. I love that one. That's my favorite by far. Yeah. Like so ridiculous. Like he's like, it's touched by magic. He's like dancing around and doing the windmill and shit like that.
Fucking exactly.
Then you have the stick-up gremlin who literally has a mask.
Yes. Dude, he's literally a little robber with a little gun.
So she figures out she's trying to like light one of their cigarettes because there's one with like he's got 4 cigarettes in his mouth and she's trying to give him a light like you would give a bar patron. So. And he keeps backing up from the fire. So she starts to like, and then eventually he falls off the chair. So then she has like a Polaroid, takes one of their pictures, like maybe she wants to take a picture, and then like it freaks out or whatever. So then she's like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. Yeah. Starts taking all their pictures or whatever. Right? Yeah, that's where the stick up gremlin's like, and she like pictures them like, So now, at this point, she runs away. She meets up with Billy. And then we get into like, they go to the bank for whatever reason. And then she tells, now here's another problem with this movie. She tells this horrendous story about her dad, dude.
Out of nowhere.
Right.
And it just gets like dark as
because she hates Christmas.
Yes.
And now this is happening on Christmas.
Dude, in the middle of this movie, for that to just randomly happen, I was like, what
it's
a fucking jarring conversation to randomly have.
Yeah. So... she tells this ridiculous story, and it has a place because she did bring up earlier how she hates Christmas and Billy doesn't understand. It's fucking dumb.
There's a through line there somewhere.
Just it's very dumb, and it doesn't belong in this movie, in my opinion. But you go on, and then at this point, they're like, we have to take care of these gremlins. Most of them are at a theater, so they go to the theater. Of course, more high speed hijinks because they're all in the theater acting ridiculous. Of course. They trap them in the theater, blow up the theater. That kills all of them except for Stripe. Stripe is left over. He's in a department store. Then they have the fight in the department store. All kinds of funny things happen in there and shit like that. And he's like trying to kill Billy and stuff. And then he eventually gets to the water.
Riding around on a skateboard.
Yes, exactly. That made me laugh too. He's literally skateboarding himself, and he fucking shoots him a couple times with a crossbow. He's like trying to kill him with tries to kill him with a chainsaw.
Yeah,
which he fights off with
a metal baseball bat.
A bat.
Yeah,
ridiculous. But no, it's a wooden baseball bat because it's drilling through the wood.
Oh,
at
was
one
it?
point.
Okay,
and then eventually, like the sun comes out, the lights come on.
Yeah.
He goes, ah! And then he goes like dragged away by the fucking thing until it gets unplugged. He's going to get in the water. Long story short, Gizmo saves the day, pulls the blinds. The blinds open up right as he's touching the water, kills him at that point.
He starts bubbling up like he's going to pop out some more.
Yes.
And then the sun kills him.
Yes. And then he's just a skeleton and poof, he goes away.
Yeah.
Go back home with the, he's got the Gizmo at the house. Old man shows up, of course.
For sure.
Kind of scolds him. He's like, look, dude, the funny thing is like, even though they dealt with all this shit, they're still like breaking he's even like, you're like breaking the rules now after like all the shit you dealt with. Like you taught him to watch television, he like kind of really gets into him about like, this is what's wrong with society in general right now.
He lays down a little speech about how like Americans
just fucking terrible, right? Yeah, exactly. And then that's pretty much the end. He goes walking away to like a matte painting town, and you gotta
drops the money.
Yeah, he's like, gives him back the $200. Even like, I don't fucking want you. You know, I'm taking my Mogwai and I'm going home. And then like they have a little moment between Billy and the Mogwai, and then that's pretty much the end. He kind of leaves. And you get a voiceover of the dad, like just like, you know, if there's something fucking up, don't think it's nothing. It might be Gremlins.
Sure.
And that's the final of the movie,
and that's it.
All right. So, what do you think of this movie?
I didn't like this movie.
Okay.
I didn't like this movie. It just wasn't my movie.
Okay.
You know, going back through it now, talking about it with you, there's some scenes that like I think clearly were. I think it was a matter of just like not understanding the tone going into it.
Sure.
Because when I started playing it, I didn't know what Gremlins was. I had never watched Gremlins.
Right.
And so, like, I didn't know if Gremlins was, like, a feel-good movie or what it was.
Or it was going to be, like, Krampus or something like that. Well, I mean, you haven't seen that,
I haven't seen Krampus, but, like, I know
it's
that
it's a horror movie about, Christmas.
Yeah, and so, like, I figured that it just was all over the place. There was a lot of internal consistency issues. Mm-hmm. So, like, I was just like, none of this is really making sense. And then when it got to the scene or the scenes where the Gremlins were just off the wall, I was just like, what in the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
Like... Is this supposed to be scary? Is it supposed to be funny? I don't know.
Yeah.
But that was a during my watch kind of situation.
Sure.
Because now, talking about it, I think clearly this was supposed to be a comedy.
Yeah, it's a horror com. Like there's definitely like Evil Dead is a similar one.
Sure, I've never seen Evil Dead, so like I don't have a lot of experience with horror comedy.
Sure.
And so I didn't identify that as this.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that's what I was watching. And so I just thought it was a shitty horror movie.
Okay, interesting.
And like none of it was scary.
Sure.
And if it wasn't supposed to be scary, I guess it could be funny. But I was more just thinking, this is so fucking off the walls ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's almost like if I would have been primed for it to be a comedy, I would have been in like the comedy kind of, like mood. But I wasn't in it. I was more in like a horror mood. And I only discovered while watching the movie that it was a horror movie. Because even for that, I had to kind of like, I think this is a horror movie.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like how I coded it as I was watching it. And then it was a bad horror movie because it was supposed to be a comedy. And so, I didn't enjoy it. It seemed like there was a problem with the tone. I made a point in the middle of my notes that it said 80s directors had a lot of problems with tone because a lot of the movies that we've been watching, I always kind of say, I don't know what this movie was trying to make me feel.
Sure.
Because it was kind of just all over the place. And even like looking at this, there was some horrific shit that happened in little moments.
Yeah, people die, straight up get killed.
But like in bad ways.
Yeah.
Like when the mom goes crazy on those gremlins in that scene where she just goes to 100 and she's like stabbing one to death and shit. I was like, holy fuck, this is like a horrific movie. And then that goes away entirely, and it's kind of slapsticky, like the fucking stick-up-man. Like that's
the puppet gremlin.
Yeah, it was so off the walls that to me it was just like they had no fucking clue what they were doing. And if I would have just kind of thought, well, what they're doing is they're trying to make you laugh, then I would have laughed. But for some reason, I thought that what they were doing was they're trying to make me scared. And I was like, that's not what this is.
Yeah, I got you. Interesting.
So my problem with it was tone.
Sure.
I didn't enjoy my viewing of it because I didn't get the tone. I never felt the funny until we went back and talked about it.
Okay, I got you.
Now it seems obvious that it's supposed to be funny.
Right.
But when I was watching it, I didn't get that from it.
So, like, would you down the not this year, but maybe down the line rewatch this and see how you feel about it?
Yeah, I think I would rewatch this in a sense like kind of like I watched The Room.
Sure.
Not because it's a bad movie, but because I know what I'm expecting. You know, like I know that if I watch The Room, I'm going to be laughing.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that this is like one of those like so bad it's good funny.
Sure.
I just know that like now going back into it, even though I initially thought this is a pretty bad production, now I know what to look for and I can enjoy certain parts of it. I think I might be able to enjoy certain parts of this movie.
I'm gonna give my opinions on this a little bit. I thought the movie I love this movie. Okay, so like I loved this movie as a kid, and rewatching it when we were getting to this movie, I shot out these movies, and I even kind of gave some other options to like switch to, and you were like, no, let's do these two, and I was like, ugh.
Yeah, I'd never seen these, so
right, and so I started watching it, and I was like, oh, fuck, I gotta watch this movie. And like the first few minutes, I was like, ugh. And then before I knew it, I was loving this movie again. And I loved this movie all the way through. Some of the things for me is it's a great length. It's like an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah.
I thought there was no pacing problems with this movie.
I thought it was so long.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if you were having a bad time, I could see that. Yeah. The hijinks weren't too long. I felt as though they were perfect because they were putting you in another place to like move you over here. They lasted. You had enough fun. You had a few fun ones, but it didn't go on forever. It was fun horror. It was easy horror. This is a kids horror movie. Okay,
yeah,
so it's like a 10 to 15-year-old sort of horror movie for the most part. A lot of laugh out loud situations where I just physically was laughing by myself, and I don't do that often.
Sure,
so like it's definitely something that I like. That the only complaints I had with this movie at all was some of the scenes felt really small. Like when they leave the bank and they're like in the downtown area and like there's the first row of stuff and everything's black behind that, like it made it feel like it was a set, like totally. And there were too many scenes that felt like sets rather than they were in towns. And clearly Spielberg wanted to film on a set rather than in a town or something like that. And that made the production feel very small. And I didn't like that. Other than that, though, I thought so much of this movie movie was good. So much of it was fun. I'll probably start watching this every year around Christmas time.
Sure.
Because that's how much I liked my rewatch again.
Yeah.
And so this would be, if we're going to move to the recommend section here, this is certainly a recommend for me. This is something I think you're just going to have fun with. Don't go at it like a serious thing. I mean, so many people have already watched this movie, and I know I have so many friends who love this movie, and they actually mentioned to me that, hey, I can't wait to listen to the Gremlins coverage. Yeah. I'm sure Antonio's going to hate it. And I was like, yeah, like, I don't know. Like, I feel like it could be kind of indifferent towards it, like not hate it, but not love it or anything like that. And it's funny that you like didn't like it.
I hated on it the whole time I was watching it.
Yeah, and
the whole time I was watching it, I was just like, I hate all these characters. Everybody kind of sucks. The Gremlins kind of suck. Everything just kind of sucks.
Yeah.
And now...
so now you've moved from...
but this is the first time that, like, I've watched a shitty movie, and then in talking about it, I was just like, no, I guess, a lot of these scenes, that was pretty fucking funny. Yeah. Thinking back, that like, it was so, like, off the walls.
Right.
That, it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
I at the worst, I think, would say that I'm indifferent to the movie. But I think if I'm being generous, in retrospect...
A soft recommend.
Yeah, that's a soft recommend.
Yeah.
Go into it with, like... I'm going to laugh for a little bit, and you'll enjoy it probably.
Right. I think that's the right way to go about this. Like, I want a fun hijinks sort of Christmas movie to, like, throw on. And here's the thing. I don't think I would watch this any time of the year, but, like, from Thanksgiving till Christmas, it's definitely a great time to watch this movie. And it's just a fun time. So it's definitely one of those ones where I would shoot to the moon with this motherfucker.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll give it a soft recommend.
Cool.
I think it deserves it.
Excellent. So... that pretty much wraps up our coverage of Gremlins. The only thing I did forget was to really talk about the behind the scenes on this one. I'm not as deep on this one as I am a lot of the other movies.
Sure.
Mostly because I hadn't seen this movie in so long now. So it was definitely a fun one. I can rewatching it. I can tell the things it was inspired by, and we kind of brought that up and whatnot already. So it was just a good movie. So what are we on to next in 2 weeks?
2 weeks from now, you guys can expect A Christmas Story, 1983.
1983. Side note on that. I watch that movie every year, at least once every year.
Yeah, this is like a tradition for you.
The funny thing about that movie, though, is I remember, I don't want to get into it too much because we'll be talking about that one next, but I remember last time I watched it, I found out it was from 1983, and I was blown the fuck away.
Because you thought it was older.
I thought it was like the 1960s or 70s.
I thought it was the 1960s or 70s.
That's funny. Yeah. We'll get into that next one. But for now, I mean, this is pretty much the end of this live production, and then we'll be on the next live production in 2 weeks.
For those of you who are listening to this, this was not live.
Oh, wait. What are we doing then?
This is never going to be live.
I warned you, with Mogwai comes much responsibility. But you didn't listen, and you see what happens. Hey, you do with Mogwai what your society has done with all of nature's gifts. You don't understand. You are not ready.